Welcome. Today we're talking about how IoT can help with the evolution of smart cities with T-Mobile's Mark McDermott, Senior Vice President of Radio Network Engineering and Development, and Pat Watkins, Vice President of Partner Solutions and IoT. Hi, thanks for joining me today, guys.
You're welcome.
Great to be here.
Thank you. So the idea of the smart city, using technology and data to gain efficiencies and improve services to citizens, is not an entirely new one, but let's talk about the potential of 5G and the Internet of Things in helping cities become smart. So what does smart city mean today?
I'll kick it off by saying, Vanessa, if you think of the opportunity, it's sort of two things. The ability to create efficiencies in the operation of local governments and cities is absolutely crucial to controlling costs. So at T-Mobile, we're very much in the business of bringing to bear 5G capabilities and making those available to cities and towns so that they can run their operations much more efficiently. And that includes tracking assets, it includes automating sensing, the monitoring of critical infrastructure, and bringing that information together and making it available so that the operators themselves, the managers of the city's facilities, can operate more precisely and reliably and with confidence. So it's about improving reliability, it's about improving cost structure. If we think of major factors in cities today, traffic management and infrastructure management around traffic is absolutely crucial. So whether it's new techniques to monitor traffic flows and adapt and adjust the flow of traffic on freeways and highways, those things are all fundamentally within reach using networks like our 5G network at T-Mobile. When we bring the aspects of improving safety, underpinning it with security solutions and smart diagnostics together, we can enable the automation of cities and improve the quality of life for the citizens that live there. And that's kind of what we call smart cities at T-Mobile.
You know, Mark, one of the areas that there's been a big focus is on water preservation. And if you think about, especially around agriculture, it accounts for about 80% of the consumption of water in our country. And so, with water scarcity increasing, this is an area where we see the need for more efficient water consumption, especially, as you think of farming, but this is also critical in the city itself. I live in California. I mean, we are keenly aware of what's going on here and how things like smart water monitoring will be a key place where we'll want to put resources and be able to determine how we can more efficiently manage the water in our community. The other thing you mentioned, traffic management. And I'll tell you, I talk with a lot of cities. I'm out, and whether it's New York City or it's Greenville, the types of things that they talk to me about is managing that congestion in their city and how they're using those smart traffic solutions to do that. So in some situations, perhaps they're using LiDAR, they might be using video, but again, through doing this, they're actually able to reduce the gases and such that are being emitted from the vehicles. And so those are the kinds of things that I see as I'm going in and working with the city, that they're keenly interested in. They're interested because it's going to drive efficiencies for them, but also it's going to provide a better way of life for their constituents.
Very much so.
Let's talk about, are there some other types of examples or specific uses that you see that maybe cities haven't thought about yet, who might consider themselves already smart cities?
Yeah, I think, things like, as we move to that battery electric vehicle, they're going to have to start thinking about things like, where are the charging stations? How are they going to manage this change that's coming over the next few years? In addition, they are looking at their buildings. How are they going to manage what's going on inside the buildings? There's one university, actually a couple universities, Notre Dame University and Purdue University, they are monitoring their sewage systems using technology. And so if you think about an overflow or you think about understanding before an incident happens, this is where they found a lot of value in being able to monitor what's going on there so that they can preemptively act before there's a situation that's critical for the the people in their community. So there's a lot of different things that we work on with the cities, and a lot of different use cases that can be adapted to the problem that they're trying to solve.
So obviously these are not, well, they're not simple challenges to begin with, but they're also not one and done projects, right? Becoming a smarter, even a smarter city, it's an evolution. It's building on a lot of technologies, many that have been there, and been worked on for the last couple of decades. Are there some tips and tactics on how a city might want to, become smarter or become a smart city that you could offer?
Yeah, I think, Vanessa, it's really crucial that as cities reach out and start to answer these questions, that they find the right partners. At T-Mobile, we're very centered around trying to make sure we put the use case and the business case right at the middle of the conversation, and that has to come first. So what are the underlying economics of solving this particular problem? Have we really captured all the value points and brought those all together? And then we can start to answer the question of, if we bring T-Mobile's amazing nationwide 5G network to bear, what are the underlying economics of solving those problems and enhancing efficiency for cities? So that's one piece. The second piece, I think, is to recognize that certainly there is no need to revolutionize an entire city's operation to get started on making some of these use cases highly valuable for consumers right now. So if I think of the case of whether it be transportation automation or maybe the automation of public transport, I always think of this use case where knowing exactly when a bus or a train is going to arrive, if you're a citizen, would allow you to think of that 5 minutes before the bus arrives. You can think of doing something more valuable like calling mom or connecting with a friend. That makes the quality of life in the city so much better and so much higher. Maybe it's not an efficiency gain, but it's certainly a quality of life improvement. So those are the kind of things that we want to focus on at T-Mobile as we engage cities and we talk about these things. We want to put the use case and the customer benefit and the operational benefits right at the heart of the conversation, all through radical collaboration, as Pat mentioned earlier. So pretty exciting stuff.
I think, Mark, when you're thinking about solving those problems, given enough time and money, you can solve anything, but that's not the world we're living in right now. And so, especially in the cities, every single dollar they spend, they have to think about the efficiencies that they're driving, and those are real challenges. And so, it's not just about the technology itself. It's about how can you deliver that in a way that's going to make sense for those cities. And so, first of all, working with wireless providers like T-Mobile, we continue to reinforce that. Bring us in early. Let's talk about those projects and think about what's important to you and how we can do that within your budget. I also think you have to think about new business models. I think about, as an example, a kiosk where someone is standing to make sure they're covered and they are waiting for that bus, they're waiting for that train. But could that be a situation where that's actually being, the economics of that are being supported through the advertising that's going on there? That's the kind of thinking that is going to have to happen to make sure that some of these things can be delivered in real time. And there's a lot of benefits to that, not just in what you're generating in terms of the advertising, but also that could lead to economic development in the area and a better outcome for something that was just, hey, listen, we want to solve that your bus is here on time and you know when it's coming.
So you guys touched on a couple of things I immediately thought of, which was the issue of budgets. They're super tight or flat or negative for some cities and counties and states even. Are there some low-hanging fruit examples of things that show a great return easily for a city to make that case, right? That's what we're trying to say. Like, you have to make the case so that you can continue to evolve and provide more of these services, which in turn reduce your costs, right? But are there some low-hanging fruit examples?
I would jump in and say, I would say that the advent of 5G and all the automation examples we've been talking about really start with having great network infrastructure throughout the city. So we see cities and towns today as partners in the deployment of network infrastructure. Now that does two or three things. One, it creates jobs locally because we're deploying infrastructure. I think it creates potentially the uplift of connectivity for businesses that can now thrive because connectivity is less expensive and more competitive. So that's a competitive advantage. And as businesses prosper, they can provide tax revenues to cities and towns that can change the economics of the economy locally. We've seen this happen in some places. We want to see more of it. But I think the call to action is to see companies like T-Mobile as partners with cities and towns in the deployment of networks. And this enables all of what I described and all of what Pat just described too.
So you're saying make it easy for us to come in and work with them.
Make it easier to work, exactly, and deploy gear. Yeah.
And deploy.
Deploy.
Are there any other closing thoughts you would like to offer?
I think it's really important to choose the right 5G partner. At T-Mobile, we've been working very aggressively to build a network capability that's truly nationwide, and we're not going to stop until we've covered every last person and square mile in America. We're pioneering a new 5G technology, super excited about that. And we're bringing that Un-carrier business model to bear to just disrupt some of the older economic models and create new opportunity. So choosing the right partner is key.
Right partner and being open to collaboration. It's going to take an ecosystem to provide all of the outcomes that we're looking for in the promise here. And so just be open to that.
Well, I'd like to thank both our guests today from T-Mobile, Mark McDermott, the Senior Vice President of Radio Network Engineering and Development, and Pat Watkins, the Vice President of Partner Solutions and IoT. I'm your moderator, Vanessa Roberts. To discover more about smart cities and IoT and 5G, visit federalnewsnetwork.com and search T-Mobile.